The story of Uma. The story you're about to hear is true, and it happened right here in Thailand. This story happened around Mahachai many years ago. There was a woman named Uma. She was just an ordinary girl, nothing special about her except for her pretty name. Her family raised shrimp, but they were out of money. So, she and Sri asked to work at a seafood freezing factory. They took a shared taxi provided by the factory. Back then, the daily wage was less than 100 baht, including overtime. It would be around 125 baht, which was about the minimum wage. Do you know that Sri was 21 years old at the time? He was the eldest son, with a younger brother who didn't continue his education, only finishing grade 7, to help his siblings and father with the shrimp farm. But that year, they were out of money. Everything is ruined. We own 5 rai of land and are deeply in debt to the bank. My 19-year-old younger brother has come to work at the same factory as Uma to help with family expenses. Uma wasn't particularly beautiful, but her parents gave her a very long and melodious name. Just hearing the name, you'd think it was exquisitely beautiful. Others would call her by her short nickname, but Uma didn't have one. Her parents always called her by her full name. Her younger brother, Anucha, was the same. He didn't have a nickname either. Uma had a proud personality and didn't talk much to anyone. She was only close to 2 or 3 friends who lived nearby. During lunchtime, Anucha would sit and eat with his friends, bringing his lunch in a lunchbox, while Uma would eat alone. Only on payday would she go eat sweet cold noodles in front of the factory once in a while. Back then, the factory didn't have a cafeteria or food stalls like it does now. Mr. Suthon is the head of the department where Uma works. Suthon's job is to supervise and oversee the employees arranging the squid onto trays for delivery to the cold storage. Mr. Suthon is married to Miss Cobb, who works in another department that peels shrimp. In the evenings, they go home together, but in different cars than Uma. Uma is known for her arrogance. Everyone in the department knows it. The men say that if they ever married someone like her, they'd leave her in tears. Suthon feels quite annoyed by her, and thinks that if he weren't married, he'd trick her, sleep with her, and then dump her. When Mr. Suthon teaches Uma how to arrange the squid, Uma acts stiff, expecting a thank you. Suthon doesn't want to talk to her or teach her anything, planning to stop after 3 months. After passing the probationary period, a report will be written and submitted to the HR department stating who passed and who did not. One day, out of the blue, someone asked to use the bathroom. That day, the housekeeper was supposed to pour chlorine into the sink for the staff to walk through to disinfect it. She was a new housekeeper and accidentally added chlorine. It was too much. As Uma walked past, she felt the smell was very strong, stronger than usual. It was much less smelly when she arrived at work in the morning. When she walked into the office, Uma felt faint and collapsed as if she were about to faint. Suthon and everyone else were shocked. Suthon rushed to carry Uma to the factory's infirmary to rest. They had to remove her apron and shoes. Everyone else helped as much as they could, getting her some motion sickness medication and smelling salts, and then closely monitored her condition for hours. At that time, there was no resident nurse at the factory. If anyone suddenly fell ill, the supervisor would have them rest in this room and receive first aid until they felt better. If their condition worsened, someone would take them to the hospital. Uma, who had never been touched by a man's hand before, felt nervous and shy. Mr. Suthon noticed that Uma had fair skin, slender fingers, and her toes and the tops of her feet were whiter and cleaner than his wife, Nang Cobb. Uma's body was soft and smooth. When he held her, he couldn't help but feel conflicted in his heart, finding Uma, who always had a grumpy expression, attractive. When she smiled at him and bowed, it was the first time he saw the girl smile, and he felt that she was quite lovely. From that day on, Uma would always bow to him. Every morning, Suthon would smile at her, and eventually, they developed feelings for each other. even though Uma knew that Suthon already had a wife. Suthep sent a letter to Uma saying she wasted time standing beside her pretending to supervise the work. He then secretly slipped the letter into her hand near noon, unnoticed by the other workers who were busy arranging ink. He wrote, "Do you know that I also have feelings for you? Even though I didn't have the opportunity to send you a letter, when Uma went to the restroom, Mr. Suthep would pretend to go to the men's restroom, but would intercept her in the hallway. They would exchange a few words, and he would arrange to meet Uma at the market on Sunday at 10 a.m. I was drunk," he said. Uma nodded and agreed. The two then secretly contacted each other, pretending not to care about each other in front of others, but they secretly met almost every Sunday. In the story, Suthon tells his wife to stay home, do the housework, and look after their two children. He says he'll buy the groceries on Sundays. His wife Cobb is pleased by her husband's attentiveness and has said she'd like to go shopping herself sometimes. Suthon tells her to look after the children on weekends, as their grandparents are tired and she should do it herself as a mother. As for Uma, she goes out every Sunday, and her mother complains about her going to the market every week. Uma explains that she's exhausted from working all day and night, like being in prison, and asks if she can go out and see things sometimes.
Her mother replies that her younger brother, Anucha, is a boy and doesn't want to go out. He stays home unless he's helping his father with chores and gives all his money to her.
Well, regarding money, I didn't spend much. Just the round-trip bus fare is 6 baht, and I bought food for less than 100 baht. After that, Suthon and Uma secretly had an affair for several months. But secrets don't last forever. One day, a friend who worked at the same factory and lived nearby, named Cobb, saw Uma and Suthon walking arm in arm and getting into a motorized rickshaw heading towards a hotel. She rushed back to tell Cobb and told her to keep quiet and wait to see how Suthon and Uma behave. Once she was sure she should humiliate Uma at the factory, but outside the factory, preferably in the parking lot in front of the factory, as it's crowded on the way back. Cobb warned that if they argued inside the factory, they would both be fired. Cobb was very upset, but tried to restrain herself as her friend advised. Uma then told Suthon, "Let's run away and live together, brother. I think I'm pregnant." Suthon was shocked. "Pregnant? Then you'll have to take pills or do whatever it takes to get the baby out." "I'm not ready." Uma said, "How can you say that? This is our child. You said you were tired of your wife at home, and you love me. Why don't you leave her?" Suthon replied, "My wife hasn't done anything wrong. If I leave her and the baby, she won't cry." He then teared up. "But you're going to leave me? You're going to kill our child?" Suthon said, "It's not like that. Just give me some time. You can say you need time, but your belly will keep growing. Okay, let's keep our distance for a while. I'll handle everything. I won't abandon you. I'll gradually find a way out." Suthon said that even though he was completely lost, Uma wasn't stupid, because Suthon's words showed that he saw her as nothing more than a plaything. After they parted ways, Uma sat by the riverbank in front of the market, watching the ferry boats carrying people across. She saw many people leading their children off the boats to buy things in the market. Uma thought that she would probably never have the chance to have a happy family life like that. Then she walked to the bus station and boarded a bus home, feeling dejected. Meanwhile, Suthon only bought 1 or 2 things, nothing specific. His mind was confused. When he returned, his wife, Nang Kop, was waiting and asked why he only got so much after being gone so long. Suthon replied like, "My husband's gone, that's all I could get. Here's your change. Buy some things yourself next week." Uma wrote a letter, pouring out everything on paper, her mistakes, for easily giving herself away without getting anything in return, to becoming pregnant when he didn't want the child, the shame of having to deal with a father if her pregnancy grew, and the fact that she never looked at any man before, and now she was secretly having an affair with a villager's husband. She wrote apologies to her parents, farewells to her younger sibling, and then, drunk, hanged herself from a house beam that night. Her parents found out near dawn. Her mother and son cooked rice. Her younger brother Anucha went to bathe and go to work, and her father went to the shrimp farm. Everyone was shocked by what they saw, not knowing the cause of Uma's death until her father regained his composure and told her mother to go check Uma's suicide note. Her father and Anucha helped carry her body. Uma drove down from the factory, honked her horn, and waited for about 5 minutes. When no one came out to get in her car, she drove away. No one knew why the two siblings had stopped working that day. When preparing for the funeral, the villagers only knew that Uma had hanged herself, without knowing the full story. Anucha, her younger brother, harbored deep resentment towards Suthon. While waiting for his sister's body at the temple for the funeral procession in the afternoon, and waiting for relatives to arrive, Anucha took a car to the factory to arrive by noon. He asked the security guard for permission to enter, saying he needed to clean up some work. The guard allowed him, recognizing him as a worker. When Anucha saw Suthon preparing to eat with his wife and a friend, he said, "Hey Suthon, my sister hanged herself. You're evil. You got a woman pregnant and didn't take responsibility. You have a wife, yet you still had an affair with my sister." All the employees overheard. Suthon denied it, saying, "I don't know anything. What are you talking about?" Anucha punched Suthon in the mouth as he stood up, both of them. They started fighting until several people had to stop them. The security guard quickly pulled Anucha out of the factory. This incident was unbearable. Being fired from her job, Miss Cobb was heartbroken. She doesn't blame Uma alone. Suthon must have been involved too. She couldn't bear being with Suthon anymore and asked for a divorce. Suthon said he wouldn't leave Miss Cobb, but would work elsewhere for a while and then return. But 3 to 4 years passed, and Suthon never returned. Miss Cobb then got a new husband. I was drunk on words, but now only her name remains for many to remember. No one thought such an arrogant woman would behave like this. Even though her body is reduced to dust, her younger brother Anucha has never forgotten his sister. And when he had children, he taught his daughter to live virtuously and not to be like her, because her life would be miserable and filled with heartbreak like Aunt Uma's. Thank you for listening to Thai Local Tales. I'm Captain Piroj. Until our next journey together, take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.